first step in assembly is to attach the tower to the base plate. If you look on the base plate, you notice that there is a cutout here for the tower to sit in, and we've got 6 holes here, and they align with matching holes on the bottom of the tower. We'll go ahead and assemble this and come back. We have the tower attached to the base plate. You'll notice that we do have it, the tower line on its face, so that it's a little bit easier to get to the base plate and get to these bottom screws. The next step will be to take the vertical brace and also attach it to the base plate. And we'll use these 2 screws here matching up to the bottom screws on the brace. So here we have the vertical brace attached. And I'm going to go ahead and flip the unit back up. We're looking at the back of the unit here. The next step is the horizontal brace. Notice that the notch on the vertical brace is facing towards the back of the unit, and everything will match up and slide right in if you've got it aligned correctly. The next step is to attach the horizontal brace here and then along here to the base plate. There are some screws on the inside next to the tower that we're not going to attach yet, but there will be screws that go in them in a later step. So here we have the horizontal brace attached. We've got 2 of the smaller screws and a bigger screw on this end. 5 of the smaller screws on the inside here, they screw in from the top down. Next, we're going to come around to the side. And we're going to remove this side panel. I've already taken most of these screws off. So I'm going to take the last 2 off here. Be careful when working with these that you don't pop the cap off of the cover. There are electronics connected to this panel, so be very careful when you lie it down. You've got these 2 wires that are connected to the inside. There are 3 other wires here that are connected, or those 2 and 1 other. You want to verify those connections and make sure that they are secure. There will be 2 unconnected wires. Those are intentional, and we will connect them at a later stage. On the inside, this back corner of the tower, are 3 more screw holes that we talked about earlier that are used to finish securing the horizontal brace to the rest of the assembly. We'll do that next. So here we've turned the tower and the base plate back around facing backwards. This piece here in my hands in front of me is the XY arm assembly. The next step is to remove the back panel of this XY arm assembly. There are 2 screws on either side that are holding it in place, and then it will slide off just like so. The next step is to attach the XY arm assembly to the plate and tower. And this is going to slide. There's a notch that slides under the tower. There's a small ledge back behind the base plate, and it aligns just like so. You'll see screw holes all around the edge, and you'll be able to line those up. Be of note that there is 1 shorter screw of these large ones. It goes down in the bottom middle. That's the only one that is shorter, and it must go there in order to provide free flowing motion on the other side of the unit. We've got the XY arm assembly attached, and we've rotated it back around so that we're looking at the side. One item to note is that there is an internal screw to attach this back panel, and it is inside this tower right here. You will not be able to attach it from this side. You have to attach it from inside the tower. The next step is to take these 2 loose wires and feed them in through these terminal receptacles, these wire receptacles in the back of the tower. The wires will be tagged and labeled so that you will be able to match the correct wire up together inside the tower. They don't just push together, they actually do screw together, and you will have to line them up to make sure that they fit. There's a notch and some pins on the inside. You screw them down together, and you'll feel a slight click as they connect together and are solid. Same on the bottom one. And we're now ready to put the side panel back on. Be sure to tuck your wires in so they're out of the way. And we'll use these same screws with the caps on them that we pulled off to begin with to reattach the side panel. So here we have the side panel reattached on the side of the tower. Two things to call out here. One thing, two pieces. There are two screws that are going to be shorter than the rest. They go in these two slots here. If you don't put those in, then this panel will poke out and it won't fit down flush as it should. The final step in actually assembling this unit is to reattach the back tower. And it slides right back on here, and you will reattach with your side screws in the same place as you took them off previously. Here we have one of our hot blocks that is ready to be placed on the AutoBlock fill. You'll notice we have removed the feet that would normally be on the hot block and replaced them with these rails. The rails will need to be, that are included with the AutoBlock fill, are dependent on the size of the hot block that you intend to use in it. So you'll need to specify that when you place the order so that we can include the appropriate size rails. Once the rails are attached, when you're attaching the rails, you want to make sure to tip the hot block up on an end, not on the side that has the controller, or the front side with the controller, or the back side with the power switch. Those could be damaged if the hot block rests on them. So you want to make sure to use an empty end of the hot block casing to do this change. Once the rails are on, you'll put the hot block on the base plate. There are corresponding grooves on this plate for the rails to sit in. So here we have the hot block almost placed inside the AutoBlock fill. The back groove for the rail is smaller than the front groove, and once you slide it in place there, that's going to help lock it into position. And so here now we've got it in the grooves, and all it can do is slide side to side. There is a stop plate on this side. Push the block gently up against it until it stops moving. Use the cam lock over here to slide it down, and your block is now securely locked in place. Next step is to attach the pump tubing. It will come assembled like this. This raises up, and you'll slide the pump tubing in under here. You want to make sure that it is lined up with the guard on the end so that it is clamped securely in place when you lock it back down. This end of the tubing will then screw in here to the middle of the 5-way valve. Your bottles of acid and DI water and other reagents will fit here on the top. You will have a length of tubing, a coil of tubing that you get, and you will need to assemble, cut each piece to length. Make sure that it's long enough to reach from the bottom of the bottle all the way up and have enough room to come down and attach to the 5-way valve. Bottle 1 attached to this position, the number 1 valve, must always be DI water. Every other bottle can be whichever reagent you choose. Next, we're going to attach the tubing. This will come assembled with this piece of piano wire and tubing all gathered together with this coil. You want to loosen these screws on this holder and slide the longer loose end of the piano wire down in the holes and have it just peek out the bottom of that, and tighten these screws down just enough to hold that piano wire in place. This end of the tubing is then attached to the fitting here. At this point, we'll need to connect the other end of the piano wire. However, you'll notice that your XY arm may be too close to the tower for you to work with it. And if this is the case, you will need to go ahead and connect the software to the unit and click on the Hot Block tab. Once the Hot Block tab is selected, you'll click A1 here to send the arm all the way out to the far corner to give yourself room to work with it. Take the loose end of the wire and tubing assembly. You'll unscrew this retaining screw here in the bracket, slide the piano wire in, so that it's just held in place. You don't want to clamp it all the way down. Next, loosen this connector here so that you may need to pull it all the way out so that you can insert the tubing. Oh, there we go. And you are finished. So here we have our assembled AutoBlock fill ready to use. We have other videos detailing how to operate the software and use it to its fullest potential. If you have any questions, feel free to call us, our technical support line at 800-745-8218. Thank you for choosing Environmental Express. AutoBlock fill, innovation for a safer reagent addition process from Environmental Express.